Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel where we talk about manga, books and sometimes anime. I know this video is a bit late as of now because we are already in August, but because I didn't read a lot in July, I decided to just put everything together in one video. So this is going to be a reading log for June and July. So I think I'm going to start off with manga that I read in July since there's only 3 volumes. So let's get started with that part. So the first manga I read in the month of July was this one, The Case Files of Jeweler Richard. Here is the front and this is the illustrations inside. I like how they add color page panels. This is super beautiful. And so what is this about? This is a mystery manga which we basically just follow Richard and Seiji, who they meet because Richard was getting robbed, and Seiji sees this and he intervenes, and then Richard tells Seiji like, hey, I'm in the business of diamonds and like jewels and everything, and so I know the history of a jewel if it is shown to me. So that's when we learn that Seiji has a pink sapphire, and so he wants him to appraise him. Seiji wants Richard to appraise the ring. And so that's when we learn that this ring has a very sad but very interesting backstory that is being told to us because Seiji's grandma actually stole the ring. But we get to learn everything behind the ring, why Seiji's grandma stole it, as well as who was the previous owner of the ring. And yeah, we basically get like mysteries behind jewels and the story behind the owners of those jewels. So it's a very interesting concept. Yeah, I really did like this first volume, so I do plan on reading getting the rest of the series, as well as I bought the light novel, so I might do a video comparing both the manga and the light novel very soon. But I did enjoy this one. So if you're someone that likes to read mysteries, I would definitely recommend this one. Doesn't have violence, or I would call it a cozy mystery. So moving on, the other manga that I read in the month of June was Dissolving Classroom by Junji Ito. It's very disturbing, but actually I was a bit disappointed when I was reading this. I was expecting a lot more scary, creepy things happening. I mean, the story itself is creepy, but it felt very flat to me. It wasn't as disturbing, scary, or traumatizing as Junji Ito's other works. To me, this honestly felt like a horror comedy, which if you consider it that, you're going to have a good time. But if you want it to be super scary, don't expect that. This is actually very funny, and towards the end it's somewhat actually like announced that it might be a comedy, and it's based on how the Japanese culture, they like to apologize a lot, something like that. Anyways, so what is Dissolving Classroom about? We basically follow this guy who is Yuma, and he has an issue with apologizing. Like, he's always apologizing even though he has done nothing wrong. If he breaks something, he apologizes. If he bumps into someone, he apologizes, and that's his problem. Like, he apologizes every single time for the smallest things, until you slowly get to see that him apologizing a lot has an effect on the people he apologizes to the point where their like brains, they start to melt, like everything. And this is Juma's sister. That's Yuma's sister. And she basically tells us that it's because he made like a pact with, is that how you say it, like he contacted the devil or something like that, and that's why he needs to apologize so that he can offer those people to the devil, something like that. Yeah, it wasn't as good as I had hoped, but it was entertaining. If you want to consider this a horror comedy, it's going to be amazing. But if you want a serious, scary, creepy horror manga, I would not read this. The other manga that I read in July was Coffee Moon by Mochito Bota. Here is the front, here is the back. This one, I cannot go into detail about this because it is the first volume, and with this story, the first volume doesn't cover a lot as to what is going on, or the plot might actually be. But the art is very beautiful. But the one thing I can say about this is that this is a time loop. So we have our main character, Pieta. This is her. That's our main character, Pieta, who has been in a time loop for a really long time, and she has been reliving her birthday for that amount of time. There's actually a part around here where she explains that she has been living the same day for, let me see, it should be around here. Oh, here it is. For 1,033 times. She has been reliving her birthday for that long. And that's basically it. And throughout this time, her friend, this girl, she notices that there's a time loop, and now she is part of the time loop. And so they decide to go out and hang out and do random things. That is until they meet this other girl who, let's be honest, I don't remember her name, but it's her. And due to an interaction Pieta has with this girl, there is now going to be a sudden change to the events that have happened throughout this day. So that's how this first volume ends. And so I'm not sure if the events that happened during their meeting is going to change how the time loop is going to go on forward. So yes, or if the time loop is going to stop, I have no idea. But the one thing I will say is that it has intrigued me, and I will continue to buy this series. I think I've also mentioned that I really like the art style. It's very beautiful, and yeah. So I would recommend this for anyone that's looking for a more action type of manga that is not necessarily shonen, the basic shonen plot. I hope that made sense. But yeah, a time loop manga. And those were the 3 I read in the month of July. So now let's move on to what I read in the month of June. So in the month of June, to make things a bit easier, I'm going to start off with this pile over here. And the first one we have is the Otherworld books, depending on the bean counter. The third one, And I've also read the fourth one. And I'm going to go ahead and say that I am utterly and completely obsessed with this story, not only the manga but the light novel as well, as I have also read the 2 volumes of the light novel that are currently out. And what is the other world books depend on the encounter. This is a isekai where our main character Seiichiro, I'm pretty sure that's his name. Oh my god, not me saying I'm a fan but forgetting his name. No, I'm pretty sure that's his name. So Seiichiro was isekai to this magical kingdom where there's magic. The way he was dragged to this world was because he was trying to save the holy maiden that this kingdom was trying to summon, and that holy maiden is Jua, if I'm not mistaken, which is this girl right here. That's her. That's the holy maiden, and he tried to save her while she was getting dragged to this portal, and he was the tag along with her. Now, because of this, everyone doesn't like him because they now have to spend money and resources on him. But while after me trying to get my thoughts together. So after all of this happens, Seiichiro asked the kingdom to give him a job, and he is now part of the accounting department, that's the right word. And so now he works. But the thing is, Seiichiro is very weak to magicules, as well as he's basically allergic to magic. And so because of this, he is now under the care of Aresh, who is a knight, and he is apparently the strongest knight, and he has really strong magic. And yes, and obviously because this is ABL, the only way Seiichiro can become accustomed to the magicules is through being exposed to human fluids. And whose human fluids, you might ask? That would be Aresh. So yes, they do things, they do the duty. And so yeah, but after that whole explanation, I'm going to talk about the 3rd and 4th volume. So in the 3rd volume, we see that because a lot of people don't like Seiichiro, some other knights decided to attack him after they saw that Seiichiro was really close to the holy maiden, and he was attacked. And he, as you can see here, he was severely hurt to the point that he was like about to die. And so Aresh has to go in and help him recover. You guys know how. And because of this, now Seiichiro is like, after he recovers, he decides to punish the knights by taking their money. And throughout here we see how Seiichiro and Aresh's relationship becomes a lot stronger, and how Aresh obviously has feelings for Seiichiro, but Seiichiro at the moment doesn't want to admit that he's noticing these feelings. And we also see how they go to the miasma, who is killing the environment of this kingdom, and how Seiichiro was forced to go there by the prince, and the Holy Maiden is in charge of clearing that miasma. I hope I'm making sense. So that's everything that happens in this third volume, and in this fourth one we see a lot. The main focus of this fourth volume is how Adesh and Seiichiro are getting a lot closer, mainly because Adesh doesn't let Seiichiro alone. He's always worried that Seiichiro is always pushing himself. And we also see another plot of the story where Seiichiro is trying to find a way to return home, to return to Tokyo. And yeah, that's basically it. And we also see how Adesh buys a whole house for him and Seiichiro to move in together and be a lot closer to Seiichiro. And then towards the end we see that Seiichiro is sent to the church to work and do research on, he's in charge of looking where all the money is going, basically. And yes, that's the end of the fourth volume, and that was I hope I made sense. I'm sorry, I got way too excited when talking about this. Like I said before, I absolutely love this, and I would recommend this for anyone. Please read it. This is the way I would recommend this is, if you like fantasy, if you like isekai, if you like BL, please go read this. It's not explicit at any given moment. I mean, it does insinuate what they're doing, but it's not explicit in any way. So if you like to read BL that's not too explicit, definitely give this a try. Please, I love this series. Thank you. Okay. So another series that I read was Kaiju number 8. This is wrong. I read the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th volume up to everything that was currently out in June. So here's the cover of the 5th volume. The 6th volume. The 7th. The 8th. And the last one, number 9. Okay. How should I start with this? It's so long. So, if there's anyone that's watching the anime, here are the color pages, actually covers up to the 9th volume. No, that's a lie. So I don't want to spoil anything for anyone that hasn't read it. That's why I'm like double checking. But okay, so I think the anime covers up to the 6th volume. So Kaiju number 8. It's very interesting. It's very good. This is the first shonen series that I have read in a while that has actually hooked me from the very first volume up to everything that is out. So what is it about? We basically follow Kafka Hibino, who has been trying to get into the Kaiju Force, where they basically kill and hunt all the kaiju, which are these types of monsters that cause destruction in the city. And in this 5th volume, we see that Hibino's secret is currently out that he is a kaiju. Okay, so he's the kaiju number 8 who the kaiju forces have been looking for a while, and they learned that Hibino is the one they have been looking for all this time, and so they have now taken him into custody, and he is being tested to see if he is still human. And we basically see that he passes the test, but is now part of the number 1 kaiju force. But they don't really want him there because he's part kaiju, because the captain of this group doesn't trust him. And that's basically the 5th one. And in the 6th volume we see that again he's being tested, and there is now another fight that is happening with a kaiju that has been showing up for a while throughout the series. Who is this guy? Whoops. Yeah, and this is the father of one of the characters, who she is my favorite character, but I forgot her name. What else is new? But the reason why he's in the cover is because he dies. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler, but yeah, he dies. So later on we see that the kaiju forces is not ready to take on this level of kaiju who can transform from kaiju to human, because they tend to be a lot stronger than the normal ones. So throughout the 7th, 8th, up until the 9th volume, we see how every kaiju group force is training to become a lot stronger, and how they're developing new weapons to take on these new types of kaijus that are showing up. That is until the 9th volume, when a sudden attack into the city is happening, and every kaiju group is essentially forced into action with new weapons that have not been tested yet. And that's all the way through the end of the 9th volume. And I have yet to read the number 10th. But yes, so far I really like where the story is going. It's very interesting. Like I said before, it really keeps your attention engaged. There's a lot of characters, but every character has its own development, their own backstory. I feel like sometimes within shonen there tends to be a lot of repeat when it comes to the background of certain characters, but not with this one. I feel like this is, to me personally, this is something fresh, and there's something to like about every character. And again, the story is amazing. So I'm going to go take a break, and I'll be right back. Okay, after a water break, I'm back. So let's continue before this video gets unnecessarily long. Let's move on to Wolf Girl and Black Prince, the 5th volume. And this is a classic shoujo. We see how there is now some trouble because of this guy who is trying to meddle into the relationship between, what's her name? Erika and Kyoja. Oh my god, guys, I'm sorry. I honestly, I'm not faking the fact that I forget characters' names. I'm not. I wish I had a better memory. I do. So yeah, so this guy is trying to, the beginning of the volume is basically this guy trying to meddle into the relationship between Erika and Kyoya, and that gets resolved pretty easily. And then we see that, like, Kyoja doesn't really like to show his feelings. I think this is, yeah, they're celebrating Erika's birthday. Anyways, yeah, they're celebrating Erika's birthday, and that's pretty much everything that happened in this volume. Oh, except for this part where Erika is having issues with being jealous, and she doesn't know how to act or behave in front of Kyoya, and that gets resolved pretty easily. So yeah, Wolf Girl and Black Prince. I know not a lot of people like this, but I think I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to continue mentioning this. But Wolf Girl and Black Prince is a classic anime and manga, and although it is very toxic and it's not a very healthy relationship between Kyoya and Erika, I do like the drama, and it has a very special place in my heart as being one of the first shoujo animes that I've watched. So yes, I love this. I like the drama more than anything. And a series, unexpected series, is the Apothecary Diaries Volume 1 and Volume 2. Again, I saw a lot of hype around this manga, and so I decided to see what all the hype was about, and let me tell you, I was not disappointed. Mao Mao is kidnapped and then sent to the palace to work. Now, before Mama was taken, she was an apothecary. She liked to learn about herbs and their healing abilities. Right, so here it says she was kidnapped and then she was sold to the palace to work, and she is now forced to work as a maid around the palace. That is until she notices that there's something really strange going on, and she figures that there's a poisoning happening due to a certain plant in the makeup the concubines are wearing. And yes, throughout the manga we see Mao Mao figuring and unraveling certain mysteries due to her skill in herbs and being an apothecary girly. And yes, that's basically everything. I made it sound super simple, but the plot itself is actually really good. And look at these covers. The art is absolutely gorgeous. Love this cover. And yes, so I've only read the first and second one, so I don't have a lot more to say about the plot, but the mysteries themselves are very interesting, and I feel like this could also be a cozy mystery, and I would recommend this for anyone. Honestly, just read it. It's worth your time. It's really good. So here we have Mobsters in Love, the first volume. I actually have no idea how to describe this other than being romantic comedy, and it's actually really funny. So Akihiko has been in love with his boss for a really long time. Obviously, he cannot act on his feelings because they are part of the mob, and so although he cannot act on his feelings, he is very obvious to the fact that he has feelings for his boss. I mean, just look at this. And we see him struggling to act like he doesn't have any feelings for him, and he's always freaking out and getting shy whenever his boss tells him something that could have a double meaning, or just when his boss gets really close to him. For example, here he starts freaking out. Anyways, I really did enjoy reading this one. It's very wholesome. Although it talks about mobsters, this first volume is very wholesome, and it's very sweet to see how Akihiko is always trying hard to hide his feelings, but he's not very good at it. And I would recommend this for anyone who's just looking to having a good time with a new BL. And this first volume didn't have any explicit scenes, but it did have a lot of funny, hilarious scenes. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this for anyone who's looking for a new BL to read with no explicit scenes. The other series that I read was Love Stage. Here is the first one. Hit the back. The second one and the back. The third volume and the back. And here we have the fourth one, which is the last volume that I owned. And so what is Love Stage about? I feel like this is a really well-known BL, but we basically follow Ryoma and Izumi and Ryoma. When Izumi was a child, Izumi comes from a family of actors, singers, and his dad owns like an entertainment agency. So when Izumi was a child, he was forced to act in a commercial where his mom was acting, and that's where he meets Ryoma. Now, for this commercial, Izumi had to dress as a girl. Let me get the first volume out of the little baggie. So, let me show you. This is the color. So, he was forced to dress as a girl and pretend to be a girl, and that's where he meets Ryoma during this commercial. And there ends up being an accident because Izumi is really nervous when it comes to acting because he is a full-on otaku. He likes to read manga, he likes to watch anime, he likes to draw manga. His dream is to be a mangaka. That is until the people that the company the commercial was for decided to do an anniversary commercial with Ryoma and Izumi playing as adults for this commercial, and now Izumi is forced to go ahead and film the commercial even though he doesn't want to, because again, he's not very good at acting and he doesn't like to act. And so he is essentially forced and convinced by his brother, who is a singer and part of a group, if I remember correctly. And yes, so throughout the story we learn that Ryoma has been in love with Izumi since he was a child, and so he is super, unlike Izumi, he's super excited to be doing this commercial again. That is until he learns that Izumi is actually a guy, and that's where everything else starts to unravel, because Ryoma starts to have these new feelings and literally even going like, I don't care if you're a guy, I've been in love with you for a really long time. And I just love you for who you are, even though he doesn't know him as much. But yeah, they end up getting together, and there's some like drama with a like movie director towards the fourth volume, but I don't know what happens afterwards because I've only read up to the fourth one. But this is I feel like this is a classic BL. It's very fun, it's very entertaining. It does have the classic BL issues where there's some dubious consent on Ryoma's part. But yeah. Would I recommend this? Yes, if you have read like classic BL, like old BL, not the new ones. But if that's something you're not into, or something that you're like don't like to read about, which is dubious consent, I will not recommend this. But overall, it's a fun BL. Yes, so I've had this on my bookshelf for a while, and that's why I have them with the little plastic baggies. But do I plan on continuing this series? Yes, I do. So let me pull this over here. Let's continue with old-fashioned cupcake with cappuccino. Old-fashioned cupcake with cappuccino. Here is the art of the and so we continue the story of Nosue and Togawa. They are office workers that started their relationship in the old-fashioned cupcake. This is the continuation of that story. And so in this volume, we basically see how Nosue has a lot of insecurities, especially when it comes to their relationship being public, and that causes a lot of conflict between them. And there's also the age issue with Nosue has a lot of issues with, because there is an age gap. Nosue is 39. Nosue is 39 years old, and Togawa is still in like his mid-20s or so. So he's always been worried about their age gap and how that is going to bother their future and relationship and all of that. And we basically see them resolve that through communication, as well as how deeply in love they are with one another. But it was really refreshing to see how this is such a wholesome story, and although it was really hard to see how their relationship started to get a bit hard due to Nosue's insecurities and Togawa's lack of communication, and not lack of communication, but Togawa's is just someone who, obviously he's younger, so his ideas are not going to be the same as Nosue's, but he's always trying to understand where Nosue is coming from. But Nosue is always pushing him away, and again, it has a lot to do with his insecurities, and it was great to see how he grew as a character and how that helped grow their relationship. And yes, I absolutely really liked this manga. Old-fashioned cupcake with cappuccino is great. Definitely recommend this for anyone that is looking for a cute, wholesome, yet very real BL. And the other series that I reread was Sasaki. The other series that I reread was Sasaki and Miyano. Here is the first one, the back, the second, here is the back, the third, the back, the fourth volume, and the fifth one. Do I even have to go into detail as to what Sasaki and Miyano is about? Maybe. Okay, let's start. Sasaki and Miyano is such a cute BL. Let me start that off. And what is it about? We basically follow Sasaki and Miyano, as the title says. Miyano likes to read BL, and Sasaki has grown some interest in Miyano when they first met, because Miyano was wondering whether or not to break a fight. But then Sasaki goes ahead and breaks that fight for him, and that's how they become close. This manga is actually really cute and really fun to read. And then Sasaki notices that Miyano is always reading manga, and so he asks Miyano, like, what are you reading? What is it about? And Miyano is like, oh, I read BL, but I don't think you're going to like it. And that's how their friendship starts to bloom, because Sasaki is like, just recommend something to me, and Miyano does. And that's again how they start a friendship that is slowly but surely going to turn into a romantic relationship. And the one that falls first is Sasaki, like I said before, and Miyano falls last. But it's really cute to see how they start from being friends, from being strangers to friends to then boyfriends. It's so cute. It's such a wholesome story, and this again doesn't have any explicit scenes. So yeah, so I would recommend Sasaki and Miyano to anyone that is starting to read BL or is interested in reading BL. The last one that I have here is a manhwa, and that is Punch Drunk Love. And this is obviously, everything is in color. Oh my god. Honestly, I should stop trying to review this. I should stop trying to show you guys things, especially with this one. So I'm going to absolutely butcher the names, but Seonwoo knows Seonwoo and Taemun. Taemun. So Seowon and this is Taemun. So Seowon is in love with Taemun, but there's an issue. He doesn't know if Taemun is into men. That is into, he accidentally leaks that Taemun has received a message, and in that message it is explicitly known to Seowoo that Taemun is actually in fact into guys. And so he decides to propose to him, like, hey, I'll keep your secret. I'm sorry, this is so funny. But he's like, I'll keep your secret that you're into men if you do that duty with me. I'm sorry. It's just that is so funny. And I don't know what Sewon was thinking. Like, maybe, oh my god. Maybe he was thinking that he would react like, okay, sure, like, I'll do it if you keep my secret. But obviously the plan backfires on him, because although they actually do it, it's Taewoon has this idea of Seowon on the fact that he's like very clumsy and like he's really dumb. Although saying what acts really ridiculous, is actually such a sweet guy who is just trying to get his crush to fall in love with him. But like I said, Taewoon has this whole idea that he's just trying to use him and like trying to get not only sex but as well as like money from him. But that's not it. He has Seowon really wronged. But yeah, and that's basically the story, where it's just them, just Seowon acting really funny and Taewoon being judgmental and being like what is wrong with this guy. And yes, other than that, like I said before, I've only read the first volume, and that's what I got from the first volume. I will mention that the art of this manhwa, it's absolutely beautiful, and I really like Seo-woo. He's such a funny character. He's so funny, like he's such a dork. And like the way he reacts to anything Taewon says to him, or the way Taewon acts towards him, it's always funny to see his reaction. And yes, I'm not going to show anything more because unlike the other ones that I've talked about, this one is super explicit, so do keep that in mind if you are interested in reading Punch Drunk Love. And yes, this is the back. The art is absolutely beautiful, and there is mature content. Yes, so that's everything I read, and my voice is now gone. No, it's not, but my throat is hurting. I'm being dramatic, but yeah, I'm going to end this video here because my neighbor's dog don't stop barking. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.